Sorry for the technical difficulties.
No problem. Everybody, while we're trying to get that worked out, just so you know, we do have copies of the agenda up on the podium if you want to grab one and kind of follow along with us, but we'll give the team a couple more minutes to get this hopefully sorted out. I'll also go and explain too, we do have public comments, and so if you do want to give a public comment when we get to that section, there is a pad that's up on there. We just ask you sign your name or write your name, and then so that we know who you are when you come up to speak.
That's fine. Mr. Mayor, I think we're ready.
Ready? Are we live on the live stream? We are. Okay, perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the City of Mulberry City Council meeting for December the 18th, 2025. We're going to get started with an invocation and the pledge, so if you're able, if you could stand. All right, if you could bow your head for a moment. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessings that you've given us here as we enter the holiday season. Please be with everyone. Keep them safe. Be with the children of Mulberry as they are getting out of school shortly. Keep them safe over the holiday break. And be with everyone and the staff and the council and anyone in our community who serves. Help guide their decisions as what is best for this city. We ask this in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, if you could join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now I'm going to go and call the roll. We do this in the order of the districts, so I will start. Takes time. Good. I'm present. District 1, we have Councilman Tim Sullivan. Present. District 2, Councilman Michael Coker, that is me, I'm present. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields. Present. District 4, our Mayor Pro Tem Michael Rudnick. Present. And then District 5, Councilman Devin Ingram. Present. All right, Madam Clerk, if you could notate, we have all 5 individuals here tonight, all councilmen. All right, that brings us to the mayor's opening comments. The only thing that I wanted to say is obviously this is our last meeting of the year, and I wanted to just thank everybody who has been a part of this journey. I mean, obviously, starting a new city, I've been telling everybody it's like flying an airplane while you're building it. But this community has really rallied behind the city, the excitement that everybody's had. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and said, what can I do to help? I can paint walls at City Hall. I can create a sign for you. I can help do this. And so we could not have done it without the members of this community. This community, also the staff, Jamie and his team have been phenomenal this past year. So as we kind of enter this season of gratitude, as we enter this final part of our first year of the City of Mulberry, on behalf of myself and on behalf of my fellow council members, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has played some role in getting this city off the ground. And so I am very proud of what we've accomplished. I'm very excited about what is coming in 2026. And I look forward to many more years of great things happening in the City of Mulberry. Okay. All right, would any of the other council like to make an opening statement?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to the Stancils over here because they, I think, have the record for showing up to the most meetings, so congratulations. For the whole year, I think you made every single one. So, also my neighbors, love them.
All right, any other council members? All right, hearing none, I will move on to item G on our agenda, which is the city manager's opening comments. City manager, like to say anything?
I just want to echo what you said, Mayor. Thank you to Mayor and Council. Thank you to the community. Thank you to my staff. It's been a great year. So,
Couldn't agree more. Could have said it better myself. All right, that brings us to action item H, which is a consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. Is there any additions or changes that need to be made to tonight's meeting agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd ask that you add one action item. We want to bring forward we have a moratorium that we're going to ask you to go forward with on tonight. We found the ordinance to be pretty loose, and we need to have it looked at and make it better. And so at the appropriate time, at the end of the action items, we would like to bring that forward and explain it to you.
All right, so we have a city attorney has requested that a moratorium discussion be added as action item H under action items K. All right, is there any other items from the council that needs to be added or changed to tonight's agenda?
And Mayor, if it's the will of the council, we'd like to take it up for potential passage.
Okay, so there's a discussion and consideration of passage. Okay, anything else from the council? No. All right, hearing none, then I will make a motion to amend tonight's regular meeting agenda for December the 18th, 2025 to add action item K-H, which is a moratorium discussion and a consideration of passage of the moratorium. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the amendment carries. Then I will make a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council regular meeting agenda for December 18th, 2025 as amended. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, tonight's regular meeting agenda as amended is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to action item I, which is a consideration of the November 20th, 2025 meeting minutes. Is there any items, errors or omission to those items that need to be changed on those meeting minutes? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to adopt the November 20th, 2025 meeting minutes for the Mulberry City Council as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the Mulberry City Council regular meeting agenda minutes for November 20th, 2025 are hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to our public comment section, item J. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the public comment section. If anybody would like to give a public comment, we limit them to the public at this phase to 2 minutes per individual. If you do like to make a public comment, we ask you to come to the podium, you state your name, you state your address. If you know what district you live in Mulberry, state that as well. And the council we do not respond to the public comments. This would just be the opportunity for us to hear whatever you have to say. So is there anybody here this evening that would like to make a public comment? All right, hearing none, then I will go ahead and close the public comments, and that will move us on to action item K, A, which is resolution 2025-1252 to adopt amendments to the planning and development fee schedule. And Ms. Kiefer, I think, is going to present this.
Yes, good evening, Mayor's Council. There are 3 changes that are redlined on the fee schedule before you today. 2 of them involve fees to process build to rent and short-term rental. These are as a result of the recent supplemental regulations that we added. This allows us to process and confirm compliance with those, as well as do them on an annual basis. So there's a first-time fee and then an annual fee to be able to process those. The third change on the fee schedule is to change the extensive residential renovations fee. We did a comparison of peer organizations, peer communities, and found that these are a good bit higher, as well as out of scale with some of the scope of these permits. So we are requesting to lower that. This is a resolution for your consideration of adoption tonight.
Is there any questions from the council for Ms. Kiefer about these changes?
Yeah, just a quick one. I know these where they came from and built to rent and all that sort of stuff. We're also already have covered people that just like rent the house for a year, 6 months, that kind of thing. That's already been taken care of.
That's different. If it's just a long-term rental,
Yeah.
that's considered differently than a short-term rental, defined differently from a land use
Right,
management
we have
standpoint.
fees and everything set up on them already.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
Any other questions from the council?
I have one quick question, just on the building permit fees. Today, this is more just looking at what's happening on the permit and inspection side.
Mhm.
I think we have a kind of a framework whereby they can either do it through the city or they can do it through a private party, is that correct?
Yeah, that's a state law that we offer that as an option.
And just curious, anecdotally, percentage-wise, what is it 50/50, 80/20?
I don't have that off the top of my head. We had a lot starting out, just because they were, transferred from Gwinnett. Not as many since we've incorporated and taken on new permits.
I just do want to add that we do have, most of our inspections are done in-house.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's helpful.
Yeah.
All right, so we're seeing them acquiring or using the city's capability
Instead of
versus.
doing third party.
Got it.
Yeah, it's, we have a duty through state law and everything else to have our inspections filled within 48 hours.
Sure.
We usually complete that. If it's something, then they use our fee schedule to use a third party. That's mainly because they have a lot of things that they want to do within 24 hours.
Okay.
And they want, a little bit more of a definite time frame so that we can hit all of our inspections.
Gotcha.
But most of the times, they just go with us.
It's filtered through the city. That's
Yep.
perfect. Thanks.
Any other questions from the council? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this resolution.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-12-52 as presented.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, resolution 2025-12-52 is hereby adopted as presented. All right, that brings us to action item K-B, which is TA-09 quasi judicial proceedings.
Yes. So this is a first read for a text amendment amending the Unified Development Ordinance. This came about, going back a little bit, in 2022 was the first time quasi-judicial decisions showed up on, in state law under zoning procedures law. At that time, it set the notice requirement for 30 days for quasi-judicial decisions, that's appeals and variances. And just this past summer, the state actually amended that to 15 days to be consistent with rezonings and other legislative actions. So this text amendment just sets that to the standard 15 days consistent with state law. This was heard by Planning Commission on November 18th and will go for a second read on January 15th to you all, and has been advertised for a public hearing tonight.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer before we do the public hearing? All right, hearing none, then I will go ahead and I will explain the public hearing. So ladies and gentlemen, this proposed ordinance has what's called a public hearing requirement, which means we open it up to the public. If anybody would like to speak on this ordinance, either you can speak in favor of the ordinance or against the ordinance. We're going to allow 10 minutes per side. And so we ask that if you're very passionate about this and you want to talk about it, we're going to limit you to 10 minutes and for each side. So at this time, I would like to open the public hearing for ordinance 2025-12-156, also known as TA-09, regarding quasi-judicial proceedings. Would anybody like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those in favor. Would anyone like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2025-12-156, TA-09? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comments for those opposed. So that is, if there's no other discussion, that will conclude the first read for this. Any other discussion from the council before we move on? Okay, hearing none, we will go ahead and move on to the next item. All right, the next item is action item K-C, consider consideration of adopting a meeting schedule for 2026. We'll turn it over to the city manager, Mr. Palmer.
Yes, sir. So, good evening, Mayor and Council. Inside your agenda packet, you will see the meeting schedule as well as the holiday schedule put together by both our executive admin and planning staff for all of our meetings next year and the days that City Hall will be closed. We were just asking for your approval so we can go ahead and set the schedule for 2026.
Any questions for Mr. Palmer about either the City of Mulberry holiday schedule for 26, the legislative decision schedule, or the quasi-judicial decision schedule? All right, hearing none, then at this time I will make a motion to adopt the City of Mulberry holiday schedule for 2026, the 2026 legislative decision schedule, and the 2026 quasi-judicial decision schedule. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the City of Mulberry holiday schedule, the legislative decision schedule, and the quasi-judicial decision schedule are all adopted for the year 2026.
Thank you.
Bless you. All right, moving right along, that brings us to consideration of action item KD, which is consideration of a major budget amendment. All right, who's gonna present this? All right, Katie, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. This presentation outlines proposed revision to City of Mulberry's fiscal year 2026 budget. Next slide, please. So this amendment will reflect some changes in revenue projection, operational needs, and project timing. Next slide. So in general fund, we're seeing an increase in insurance premium tax collection. This is a good thing. Will ensure additional funding provided to support city's operations. On the expenditure side, we are proposing several targeted increases. These include, first, the increase in personnel and equipment for the city marshal office to support public safety. Second, increase in city marshal's personnel will come with additional taxes and benefits. That's item number 2 that you see on the budget. We are also increasing general and administrative costs for IT support, general liability insurance, public relations, accounting and audit services. In addition, public works and infrastructure costs are increasing due to some required engineering services. Next slide, Joy. One more. We will move on to enterprise and capital project funds. And for the enterprise and capital project funds, we are adjusting revenues based on timing. So for stormwater revenue, we're expecting to receive it in fiscal year 2027, right? And local maintenance and improvement grant, it's also delayed until grant is awarded. Obviously, to align with these revenue changes, which is just due to timing, we are reducing related expenditures to ensure we are not spending something where we don't have available resources for. So, and those expenses are just deferred until funding is received. So on the next slide, you will see that in total, the fund balance it still presents a positive result. And these amendments just aligns the revenue and expenses with actual timing and reflects some changes in our estimates. Thank you, Mayor and Council members, for your time consideration, and ready to answer your questions.
Does any of the council have a question for Kate regarding the budget amendment?
I have, yeah,
Go ahead.
if I may, is that okay?
Yeah, there's some added information, but I'd like to take your questions first.
Okay. I was just gonna ask on the, can you go back to the maybe 2 slides before this one?
This one?
That one, yeah, thanks. On the premium tax increase, So that's pretty significant, right? 50% almost?
It was already received, so we've received more than we anticipated.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So-
That's great. That's great that we've had a favorable increase to the
Yes, sir.
budget.
So
Yeah.
when we approved the budget, we had talked about, and I'd said in that meeting that, we had looked at where we stood with code enforcement at 4%, but we anticipated increasing that.
Mhm.
We needed to put that inside of the budget, and that additional revenue that we receive from insurance premiums,
Sure.
the bulk of that is going to that.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
what has been helpful is that the county's DOT, during the summertime when they're cutting the grass, the maintenance crew is pulling up a lot of the signs. But now that it's wintertime, they're not cutting as much grass, you're seeing more signs. And right now, we have one code enforcement officer who's out there every day, then we have the sergeant and the chief who are also doing other activities with code enforcement as far as making sure citations are issued for land development or other code violations. So we need to make sure that we have other boots on the ground, which is added to part of this increase. And then the vehicles that were donated from the city of Woodstock, we're getting ready to put people in those, split the entire city up into zones, so that we have active civilian and post-certified marshals out every day, making sure that we have code compliant
Mhm.
stuff. So, that's the big thing for that, so we wanted to make sure that that increase is there, so that we can service the city to code enforcement at the level that it's supposed to be done,
On the expense side, right?
on the
Yeah.
expense side.
Yeah, the question, I was asking was just to further, because I remember the conversation we were talking about, the modeling that we had done regarding the revenues, right?
Right.
In terms of what we expected. And I think at that time, you said this is kind of a conservative estimate, so that's great to see that we're favorable to the upside. The other question I was gonna ask in line with that is, I noticed there's no changes in any of the other revenue estimates, so I'm just curious, do we perceive that we were right on the money with those estimates, or do we perceive that there might be changes positively or negatively to our assumption?
We're very close. So
Okay,
we're
so-
very close to right on the money from where we anticipated our other revenues to be.
Got it.
One thing that we're finishing up is franchisee agreements. We still are waiting on some of those payments for, like Jackson EMC comes at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
We're waiting on AT&T. We're finalizing Buford Gas.
Yeah.
Some of those will come either between this year or calendar year 27.
Yeah.
And so in line with that is the same thing with stormwater.
Mhm.
So this is more of a budget cleanup than anything, just to make sure that we're showing, transparent and accurate numbers.
Got it.
We won't receive the stormwater fee, as kind of part of a goodwill to the county. We're not trying to request any of those fees for this year, but the fees for the following year, which will come in our next fiscal year. So we didn't want to show that revenue on this line.
Got it, okay, makes sense. The other question I had, I'll try to go through this quickly, public works infrastructure, is that the city logic, the thing that we talked about?
No, sir.
No,
So
that's
what
not.
that fee is in the transition period, Low Engineering was selected to handle our stormwater infrastructure.
Yeah,
Their fee inside of that contract was set to a certain amount.
got it,
But since we have negotiated to where we won't collect any stormwater fees this year and let the county have the fees that were done for the work that they did,
Mhm.
we renegotiated with Low, and that's their expense.
Got it, okay, understood, all right, great. And, the other question, I've got two more questions, I'll try to make it brief. Deferred public works, is that next slide? Maybe the other way, sorry, back, one more slide after this. Can you keep going? There's a different, that one right there, thanks. So you mentioned, so we show that we don't have the public works infrastructure item on there, so we planned it's not, so that's an item that we can defer, right? We can choose to defer. I guess here's the question, some expenses we can't defer, they just are what they are.
Yes.
That one assumes that we are able to not absorb that expense now, but also to,
Not just the expense, the revenue.
okay,
So the reason why we wanted to show this is the 1.9 million
yeah,
that we show was the stormwater fee collection,
gotcha.
right?
Okay.
So we had anticipated that being spent out.
So those
on that contract.
Gotcha.
So now that contract's not there.
Alright.
The LMIC funds, we are applying for those funds and we just put that estimate in there.
Sure.
But we also believe that based on our population and the new annexation area, that we may receive more funds than that.
Mhm.
So in the budget cleanup, I didn't wanna show that until that grant was
Gotcha.
actually received.
Makes sense. And then, last, this is really not a question, but just, maybe just a note to you is, I know when we were originally negotiating some of the agreements on code enforcement, I would like us to make sure that we are getting the full capability we've signed up for as a city.
So I think it's a good point to add, because I do wanna say that all of our consulting partners
Mhm.
have been great, even though I can be a little demanding at
Sure.
times.
Yeah.
And so they have all renegotiated with us.
Okay,
So over, like, I think in the last budget amendment or this budget amendment, we have sat down with CKH, that has been done, that was reflected in the last budget amendment. CPL, they'll be bringing something at the beginning of the calendar year.
yeah,
And then you're seeing in this one reflected in the Public Works
Yep.
is Lowe's renegotiation.
perfect. Yeah, my comment there is really about, I know it's easy when we have tons of things going on. In that RFP, RFQ process, there were certain commits that we made, and there were certain commits that our partners made to us.
Mhm.
And some of the commits they made included FTE ratios, overhead ratios, et cetera. So if we look out and we say, hey, wow, we're having a hard time getting out to do X, Y, or Z, is that an do we have 2 FTEs on the road, or do we
I
have one?
don't wanna
What-
be overwinded with this, but I will say this, that, that initial contract was also then renegotiated because the first couple of months, there were no revenues coming in.
Got it.
So those
Okay.
original KPIs were changed.
Yeah.
All that is now scrapped,
Okay. Gotcha.
because operationally, we need to do something different.
The
So we
macro.
have worked in and renegotiated something that will get more people on the road, to handle some of the code enforcement issues. Because I do wanna note that our staff is fantastic. We have completed over 1,700 permits, only 500 of those were transfers. And we have another 830 permits, and that's not including any
Gotcha.
pre-construction meetings, any development meetings. And we're gonna do an annual report that shows all of that for you all,
Yeah.
and show the full KPI of the city.
Yeah.
But, you know, the volume is a little bit higher than what those original contracts anticipated.
Sure.
So we have to adjust, not just at staff level, but at, you know, a workflow level, how we handle it.
Okay, yeah, you guys are doing a great job. I know sometimes in the challenges that we have as a new city, we can, I just wanna make sure we're getting full value, but we're also delivering full value. Like,
Absolutely.
we made our commitments, they've made their commitment to us, and we just keep it on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, that's all the questions I have.
Any other questions about the major budget amendment for Kate or the city manager? All right, do we need to have a public hearing on this, Mr. City Attorney? No, okay. And is this the first read, or we calling a vote on this?
It's called for a vote, but just out of precaution, can we just open it up for public comment?
Okay.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Sure, understood. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to open this up for a public hearing as well. Thank you, Kate, you can sit down. So basically, what we're going to do is, we're gonna do the same thing we did before. We're gonna reserve 10 minutes for each side, those in favor, those that are opposed. So at this time, I would like to open up the public hearing for anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the major budget amendment as presented. All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public forum for those that want to speak in favor. Is anyone here like to speak in opposition of this budget amendment? Hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those that would like to speak in opposition. So council, if there's no other discussion, I will entertain a motion on this budget amendment.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amendment as proposed.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Sullivan. We have a motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the major budget amendment is adopted as presented. All right, that brings us to action item E, which is a consideration of an auditor. Who's going to present that one? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ken Dandy, and I am the interim finance manager, City of Mulberry. And I've come tonight to present our recommendation for auditor for fiscal year 2025 for the city. And we sent out a proposal, RFP, for audit services, RFP number 25-01 for fiscal years 2025 through 2028. And we posted it on vendor registry on November 3rd. Deadline for the questions was November 14th. Responses to the questions were posted on vendor registry on November 19th. And then the proposal submissions were due December 1st by 3 p.m. We received 5 bids, of which we only accepted 4. One bidder, Perry and Associates, unfortunately only bid for 1 year instead of all 4 years. The technical volume was evaluated with a maximum score of 65 points, and the criteria there was responsiveness of the proposal and clearly stating an understanding of the work, technical experience of the firm, qualifications of the staff, size of the firm, and past performance. Next slide, please. And this is how they were scored. So the order of the scores you see there are based on the technical score. So the average, we had 4 evaluators. We took the average of those 4 scores for each bidder. And so Rustin had the top technical score based on the average. Malden and Jenkins next, James Moore and Company third, and lastly RTW Exact Enterprise LLC. And we made the decision to go with Malden and Jenkins because the technical scores were relatively close between the top 3. And so the next thing we went to was price, and 76K was hard to ignore. All right. And that's it. So tonight we're come to you, Mayor and Council, to ask that you approve the attorney to draft a contract with Malden and Jenkins for the 2025 fiscal year audit.
So the first thing I want to say is you're the best dressed man in Mulberry.
Oh, thank you.
Second thing I'll add is just, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So this is the auditor requirement is a state requirement. Well, we have to have somebody come in and look at our books. Nobody's saying, hey, we did something, we're gonna investigate you, there's some impropriety we suspect. This is a state requirement.
It's a state requirement and it's due.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so every year, each government is required to do an audit and to have an auditor kind of just go through their fiscal year. So since we closed out 2025, it's time for us to select an auditor to go through that process.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the council?
I have one, sorry. The 76,000, that's annually, that's not the,
That's the total. The first year was about 17K.
okay.
Yeah, for
So that's the cost for, was it 5 years? Or
4 years.
4 years, gotcha, okay. All right, perfect.
That was the same question.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
The one you're selecting, that's the firm out of Gainesville, is that correct, or no?
No, well, they have an office, Malden Jenkins has an office in Atlanta as well as in Alpharetta,
Okay,
plus a number of other locations throughout the state.
okay, it's a little bit bigger firm.
Yeah, but the largest firm of the group.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, then I will make a motion to permit for the city to hire Malden and Jenkins for the purpose of being the City of Mulberry's auditor and authorize the city attorney to draft and prepare a contract and negotiate with them for those terms. Motion good with you guys?
Add that the mayor can sign, please.
And that the mayor is authorized to sign and execute that final contract. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the Malden Jenkins organization is hereby selected as the auditor for the city of Mulberry. The city attorney is authorized to negotiate and prepare a contract, and the mayor is authorized to sign that contract once prepared. All right, that brings us to action item, oh, thank you. That brings us to action item K-F, which is a consideration of right-of-way for the Auburn Glen Phase 2.
Inside of your agenda packets is a right-of-way dedication. This is just for once a subdivision starts to finish out and get ready to turn over their streets. This is for us to accept those roads. We just need a vote of approval to accept these roads, and then we can send them a deed for it to be recorded.
Any questions for the city manager on this proposal? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
I'll make a motion to accept the right-of-way for Auburn Glen Phase 2. Right-of-way.
We have a motion from the mayor pro tem. Do you? I know it's a dad joke if I ever heard it. All right, so we have a motion to accept the right-of-way from Auburn Glen on behalf of the city of Mulberry. Do you have a second? Second. Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, it is hereby approved that City of Mulberry will accept the right-of-way for the Auburn Glen Phase 2 neighborhood. Brings us to action item K-G, which is an OpenGov presentation.
So I want to do a little introduction before I bring the team from OpenGov up. So one thing, similar to how we talked about at the last meeting with City Logistics, we're going through looking for software packages, things to make sure that we can stay not only up to date on our internal infrastructure, but ways that we can be more transparent with the public. The conference that you all sent me to, the International County City Managers Association Conference, I was able to meet with a lot of vendors, and after my team and everybody else has sat down with a couple of vendors, this is the one that is by far all in one package. This is a software system that we can use not just for one part of our operations, but multiple part of our operations that we can work at integrating with some of the other things that we can do. And so what has happened is we had a first meeting with this team our team first sat down and did team interviews and looked at different proposals from different firms. This is the only one that does kind of what they do. Then secondly, we had an initial meeting where we sat down with the team that you're here with today and kind of talked through what potentially they could do for the city of Mulberry. After that, we had a 2.5-hour demo with our entire staff after a staff meeting to go through. And then after that demo, all of our staff is on board with moving forward with this. Some modules may come on sooner rather than later, but it's now time for us to present this information to you all and then look to seek to move forward with trying to negotiate a contract and ask that the mayor sign the contract once we finish negotiating it, if you all accept this to move forward. So now I want to bring up OpenGov to kind of talk about the product.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Well, good evening, Mayor Coker and Council, and thank you for your time. My name is Joel Smith, and I lead one of our Southeast teams here at OpenGov. I've had the pleasure of working with City Manager Palmer and his staff as they have conducted a thorough evaluation of not just OpenGov's products and services, but of OpenGov as a long-term strategic technology partner for the city of Mulberry. Throughout our conversation, City Manager Palmer has been open and honest with us about how he envisions the future of Mulberry, and I'd like to start by sharing with you all what we have identified as 3 key outcomes that will empower Mulberry to achieve that vision. Go to the next slide, please. First is improving resident engagement by creating additional channels through which your constituents can interact with the city. With easy-to-use modern software, your staff and residents can correspond digitally regarding service requests, code violations, complaints, and general inquiries. And residents can track the status of those requests as they're routed to appropriate city staff. Transparency will become the standard with our online publishing tool, allowing the city to easily communicate financial, project, and performance data making your citizens more aware of the exciting things happening behind the scenes. Second is to increase staff efficiency. We've identified several time-consuming workflows in the finance department that we'll be able to enhance. Processes that currently take 3 to 4 hours will take place in 20 to 30 minutes. We'll see additional improvements in public works by triggering work orders using citizen service requests. So when your neighbor or you flags a pothole to be filled, public works will be made aware immediately, and the requester is kept up to date throughout the process. Third is preparing for responsible growth. The city is still in its early days, but it's bigger than other metro Atlanta suburbs like Sewanee, Decatur, Woodstock, Chamblee, Lawrenceville. I've no doubt that there will be growing pains, but I also believe that Mulberry will be a beacon of innovation, responsible growth and development, and forward-thinking city leadership. That makes it all the more important to select a technology provider now that is equipped to support the city into its future. Go to the next slide, please. Next, I'd like to introduce OpenGov, its mission, its people. We are on a mission to power more effective and accountable government, and our vision for the future is high-performance government for every community. We are part of the Cox family of business based here in Atlanta, whose ethos is to build a better future for the next generation. These values are the core of who we are, and we're grateful for the opportunity to share those values with the city of Mulberry. If you would move to the next slide, please. The OpenGov public service platform is a tightly integrated ecosystem of best-in-class solutions such as our financial management or enterprise asset management suites that allow you to be more efficient, better adapt to change, and strengthen trust and communication, ultimately allowing you to deliver the best services and results to residents and constituents. Next slide, please. Beyond the software, our approach to partnership is what sets us apart. Our team of local government experts and former public servants will work with Mulberry well beyond implementation to ensure your success. The city will have access to a dedicated customer success manager and a customer success engineer, as well as unlimited access to our US-based support staff. Next slide, please. And these people here are why governments choose to partner with OpenGov. We recognize that local government is one of the most challenging careers, and we retain a passionate team that has walked in your shoes. Amber Griffith is one example, a CPA and former chief budget officer at Escambia County, Florida. She is now one of our solutions architects, and she'll be working with Mulberry during the implementation to deliver a clear project plan and roadmap for success. Next slide, please. And if I was going to add one more thing about the public service platform, it would be its scalability. Just here in Georgia, we work with small cities like Dahlonega and St. Mary's, as well as some of the largest counties in the state like DeKalb and Cobb. As Mulberry grows and develops, you can feel confident that your software will grow right along with you. And likewise, our customer success team is positioned to provide the support needed as you bring on new departments and expand service areas across the city. Next slide, please. Other vendors are capable of digitizing departmental workflows. What we aim to do here is digitize and connect these departmental workflows. Part of our plan here at Mulberry is to do that with Public Works and Finance, giving staff visibility into the true cost of maintaining the city's infrastructure and making informed decisions when planning for future projects. Next slide, please. And to wrap up, I'd like to share a few brief snapshots of what future tools will look like at Mulberry by implementing OpenGov. One example I'd like to share is a picture of a transparency portal. This will allow, again, for council, residents, staff, other stakeholders to have visibility into the financial health of the city at any given moment. Another key differentiator with OpenGov is our ability to ingest and report on any type of non-financial data. Our customers use this product here to publish capital improvement plans, strategic plans, performance metrics, such as number of permits processed, as y'all mentioned a second ago, potholes filled, or EMS response times. Go ahead and go to one more. And lastly, a quick look at what the residents of Mulberry will see when it comes time to interact with the city operations and submit a question, complaint, or request. And again, through this solution, you keep a record of every interaction with your residents, allowing you to track service levels and gain a keen understanding of what your citizens care about. And with that, I'd like to thank you, Mayor Coker, City Manager Palmer, and Council for your time this evening, and open the floor to any questions you may have.
I just have one quick question. So obviously I know stormwater is a big deal. We're about to take that over. Will that also be included here? So if somebody has a clogged drain?
Exactly right.
Anything that we're referencing, so it's their Public Works module, right? But it's stormwater for us.
Okay.
So, in a lot of departments, right, stormwater sometimes is not its own separate thing, it's just a function of Public Works.
Sure.
So when we say public works, sometimes just being in the industry for a long time, we mean stormwater as it relates to Mulberry.
Understood.
But those task orders are what we're referring to here.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
Yeah, a couple. Just full disclosure, I work for Tyler Technologies.
Oh, no way.
Yes. So yeah, we're the big gorilla in the marketplace. But yeah, just curious, so this is basically handling non-emergency requests?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
correct.
Will our folks have to then, will it get integrated into our Mulberry website, or will it be a separate, total different URL, something like that?
You could iframe it, or it would be a pop-up window similar to the way the request portal works now.
Okay.
The way that we're trying to frame it is that, you know, we have our website, but I'm just gonna be blunt and honest, right? Our website is not that it's not that functional right now.
No.
So every day, Joy goes through it with myself and Kelly, and we start looking at things and ways to make it better,
Mhm.
or removing old information. What we wanna do is, once we get all of our software packages done, we wanna do a complete, pretty much overhaul on the website, so that it makes it a little bit more functional. And then, using their system, we can track everything from a task order standpoint. It can go directly to code enforcement, and then, as you all know, we've been working with just FOIA for open records requests. So no longer will there be the report of concern, where do I go to do the open records request, that kind of thing. It'll be, open records request will be one button, it'll be put in a task order for another with a 311 function, and then we'll be able to track that, you know, all those task orders, and using their system, there'll be a transparency portal. So then they can click another link and we'll update that quarterly, so that the public can automatically go to our website and see how many code enforcement cases we've completed, how many, you know, different stormwater tasks we've addressed, that kind of thing. And then you can see year over year how that scales up.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple more.
Yeah.
How long in business? How big is your company?
We've been around since 2012. We have about 1,000 employees across 6 offices in the United States.
Okay, obviously you got one in Atlanta.
We do, yeah, Sandy Springs.
So Cox acquired you guys at some point?
About 2 years ago.
2 years?
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, I have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
So obviously, one of the things important to me is will the council themselves have the ability to access this data, right? So like if
That's a
somebody
great
in our
question.
district says, hey,
Yeah.
there's this issue, is that something that we will see? Is that something only staff sees? How does that typically work?
Exactly. So we have dashboards, and we have an unlimited user model as well. So each council member have a dashboard. You can, you know, pin your own reports that you want to keep an eye on. Same thing for department heads. You know, Marshall logs in, he's got his information. He's not seeing what finance is doing or stormwater. Jamie's got the city manager dashboard, right? The whole picture. So yes, each of you, you know, have an iPad in front of you during this meeting, looking at live data in real time.
And then my question, second question is more for staff, is obviously, you know, software is only as good as if you actually use it, right? I mean, obviously, we've worked with code enforcement. I mean, they're on board. They like the model. They feel like they can plug in and get the stuff. I mean, everybody's kind of cohesive and good to go with this.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are working on 2 things, right? Because we have our agreement with another vendor permitting side, and so we're working on the integration for all of that. But really and truthfully, staff right now has a high call volume as well as email volume. We need to go ahead and have something in there to where we can point people to a functioning website or web portal, to where we can actually do our work on top of responding. And then we need to make sure that we can minimize the group emails, so that we can make sure that we're accountable, but it's assigned to someone. So this is just, how do we optimize our operations? We've now updated the phrase that you've been saying, Mr. Mayor, of we're no longer building the plane while we're flying it, we're patching the holes. So that's.
I'll start using that instead. All right.
We're functioning, everything's working great, but where are we weak at? And right now, our 2 weak points are, how do we handle the volume, and how do we maintain transparency so that we can keep being effective?
Sure. Understood. Any other questions from the remaining council members?
I have a couple. What percentage of the capabilities was proposed to Mulberry? I assume you guys do a lot more things than we do.
Probably 15%, if I had to put a number on it.
And
Yeah.
those other capabilities are potential down the road. that
Exactly
you
right.
can add on,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, so as y'all expand public works beyond just stormwater, capability to handle, traffic signals, roads maintenance, buildings, facilities, things like that. Exactly.
Everything from, I mean, they have a whole portal of billing,
Mhm.
need from a software standpoint.
So also full transparency, I work for the city of Lawrenceville, so.
Okay, yeah.
We use Tyler, and that's all I know, so
Yeah.
I don't know anything else. I'm sure you guys have a great product as well. And from a cost standpoint, I assume you guys are, on some sort of source well or something like that. but-
Exactly.
but
We are
how-
on the state contracts.
what is the cost, or have we gotten that far, or?
We do, there's a number that's been proposed.
Okay,
A lot of it's based upon the modules.
okay,
We would like to come back with the final contract and talk about that because there's some things that we need to shore up.
okay,
We really just need permission now by the end of the year so that we can look at some of those additional savings
okay,
for permission to move forward with the contract, ask for signing, and then talk to you all about price.
okay. That's all I've got.
Awesome.
I had just a couple questions as well. I was getting a little late here. So is this duplicative of any software, I guess, to use?
No.
Okay. So
It's not duplicative.
Okay.
I do want to answer this, right? So we were looking at multiple software packages. Right now, the big issue that we have is our finance team is manually data entering all of our transactions, okay?
Got it.
That's a lot.
Got it.
That's a lot of staff hours.
Yeah.
Versus if we can have something else, a software program that can count.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask you. That was my next question, is like, one of the previous conversations we had about, City Logic, I think, right? We talked about what we're doing today versus what we could do tomorrow, and there's clear ROI there. So the ROI for the staff and the hours and time and allocation spent versus an easier, more, efficient method, I guess, right?
And data stacking. So the other thing that's good about this is City Logistics, our current GIS program, and OpenGov can stack and layer our share files when it comes to CAD files, data, anything else.
Okay.
So anything that we've talked about with City Logistics as far as what they're doing, anything with OpenGov, what we already have for GIS, all can be layered on top of each other.
Got
So then that's when we revamp the website, it all looks clean.
Got it. So customer service residents feel like they're more included in the process, they understand the status. Ticket, if the ticket's been responded to, if it's getting out of band, based
Exactly.
on some KPI that we might
Mhm.
have in terms of, okay, got it. And then, from an integration perspective, how many just curious, just deep in it, just 3 integrations, 4 integrations, how many systems are we integrating into?
When you say integrations, can you elaborate on that?
Well, you mentioned, so City Logic, I guess that would be an integration, like other systems.
Sure,
that
yeah,
go-
so we have a bi-directional integration with Esri, which is the GIS data.
Got
And for City Logics, what we have determined as kind of the best way forward is to just do a file import.
Got it.
We're gonna be
So
pulling
just a
data
couple
from
of
City
systems.
Logics into asset management,
Got it.
but
So not
beyond
too
that,
complicated.
yeah, and then with ADP as well.
Got it. So
Yeah.
pretty easy on the integration
Yeah,
front.
exactly.
And timeline, how quickly after you guys negotiate,
I'm happy to speak to that, if that's helpful.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're proposing a February 1 project kickoff to just allow some breathing room in January.
Got it.
And intend to have the entire system live by 10/1 for the fiscal year turnover.
10/1 of next year.
Yes.
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
So
We have
into the new fiscal year,
Got
live in the new system.
Got it. Got it. Okay. And I guess we'll just work out the economics of how we scale into that 10/1.
Yeah,
Right.
most of that time frame is getting everything online on their end, and then pretty much letting them know how we want the system to function, what we need, integrating into the website, and then hard launching it as we kick off the next fiscal year.
And citizens, if I understand right, they would have, the way that they interact with us via this is the mobile app,
Mhm.
email, web, is that it? Those are kind of the 3
Yeah,
ways.
that's
That's
the big
right.
thing.
Yeah.
We need something to where a lot of our calls are things that, and I take this as my fault, right? Like, a lot of our calls are things that if we could have a better functioning website and point people to it, they would be addressed, right?
100%.
And so like overhauling an entire website that's already established is something that needs to take time so we don't totally screw it up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. I think it's great. I think that one of the things that I think we're seeing, and hopefully the residents see in Mulberry, is that we're trying to be innovative where it matters so that they have a better experience. But in doing that, it also is gonna help us reduce costs, right? And give a better product in terms of the city services. So it's great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks all.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Domino's pizza tracker, right? Like they'll put
Exactly
a
right.
thing in and they'll.
Yeah. You might not believe this, but that's the analogy that we use internally. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
I love it.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the council? And Mr. City Manager, if you could remind me, so what specifically are you asking as an action item for a vote tonight on this?
I'm asking us to prepare a contract and have the legal team prepare a contract that you all can then have the mayor sign. But before we, have a settled price, we'll let you all know, probably individually, so that we can go ahead and move forward. There's some things that can be cost saving on our end of the contract if we try to, get this done. And I just can't stress enough, this is something that on a staff level, we really need.
All right, I will entertain a motion on that.
I think, can I clarify a point on
Yeah,
the
go
motion
ahead.
before I make the motion? Is the motion, are we drafting the contract with a price and authorizing the mayor to sign it? Or are we just drafting a contract, getting it ready?
Authorize the negotiation.
Yeah.
Authorize the drafting of the contract after the completion of the negotiation. Presentation to the mayor and council, January 15th,
Or a special call meeting.
the special call meeting.
Okay.
I need something, there's a little haste here.
Okay, so, I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to authorize city manager and staff to draft, including Mr. Attorney, to draft a contract with OpenGov
Yes, sir.
for presentation back to council on January 15th or via special call meeting, so we can consider it for finalization.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, staff is authorized to negotiate and draft a contract with OpenGov, which will be presented back to council on the January 15th meeting or prior in a special call meeting. All right, that brings us to action item H, which is a moratorium discussion and consideration of passage of a moratorium.
I need my laptop for this one. Last item of the year. Kind of exciting. We're requesting to do a 120-day moratorium and asking you all to sign it and approve it. We have noticed section 210, 150, and section 21180 as it goes towards civic uses. We would like to recommend to do a moratorium, to do a code and text amendment update on those sections.
Any questions for the city manager about this resolution 2025-1253?
What is that section?
It is section 21050 and section 21180 inside of the UDO for us.
Okay.
It deals with civic uses,
Okay.
Okay.
and it's all civic uses.
Can you elaborate on civic uses?
Civic uses can be assembly halls, and things of that nature.
And this will put a moratorium on all, applications for rezonings, building permits, land disturbance.
Yes,
Okay,
everything related to those civic uses.
okay. And we had a moratorium from January 1 to July 1. So this would be obviously additional to that. Do we anticipate it going the full 4 months, or is it something?
No, sir.
Okay,
There are a couple code updates that you all will see the next couple months. This is probably the bigger one as far as time frame. There's some research that we need to do here. That's why we're asking for a moratorium on these uses. The other one is the commercial architectural standards update, right? So as we get to the next phase of Q1 code updates to make us, less like Gwinnett, right? This is something that staff has felt that we need to go ahead and do a moratorium on so that we can go ahead and take the time to do the research, but I do not see us using the entire 4 months.
and what about applications already in progress?
We don't have any applications in progress that are related to this.
So no and the impact of this is, so there's no applications already in progress.
No, sir.
And the impact is not across the city, it's just with
No,
this
so this
particular
isn't-
use case, right?
This is not everything inside the city,
Right.
but it is this use as it relates across the entire city.
Sure.
Oh, so it's only for this use?
It's only for this use that is outlined in the code as
Okay.
civic uses.
Gotcha.
So the impact to anybody that's got existing capital or trying to figure things out
This
in
is
the
not
city,
for,
it's
this is not for, to stop rezonings,
Right.
this is not to stop any other form of development, it's set for civic uses.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Any other questions for the city manager? All right, then at this time, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-1253, which is a resolution on a moratorium for this specific use. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, resolution 2025-12-53 is hereby adopted.
Thank you.
What comes out? I have a copy of that. Oh, there we go.
All right, one other item, just before we move on, I have in my packet a different, looks like a master lease dealing with GMA. Is that something we were supposed to?
Oh, we forgot about that. We'll have to do it in January.
Okay, we'll wait till January.
Yep.
Okay, all right, that brings us to the end of the action items. K, obviously, we did not have an executive session, so I don't believe there's any items to take up from the executive session. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our meeting. I do want to say, thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you again for all you've done for our city in year 1. We look forward to year 2, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year, okay? So at this time, I will make, if there's nothing else from the council, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, we're hereby adjourned. Everybody have a great night and happy holidays.
Something interesting.
I'll show you later.